Hello and welcome to This Inspired Life. My name is Andy Taylor, and in this video we're talking about yourself. Now, that should come as absolutely no surprise given that this entire channel, this entire YouTube project is designed around you. It's designed to help you create a life by design that makes you go well. So to become the best you that you can possibly be. And all the content that will be coming at you through this channel is designed to do just that. It's designed to help spur you on, to encourage you, to motivate you, to keep you on the right track, to allow you to have permission to do what it is that you really want to do in the world and to make the difference that you want to make in the world. So that's what this channel is all about. And this video is no exception because today we're talking about yourself. Now, I don't mean stripping your character apart, because that's not what we're here to do ever. What I'm talking about is something I got from Paul McKenna when I was very early in my journey as a student in personal development, and that is the concept of the 3 layers of self. Now, Paul's example of this is perfect, so I'm going to use that exactly as he wrote it. As he wrote it, to depict exactly what I'm talking about and to just postulate a little bit more in my own words about what it means for me and what it can mean for you too. So what are we talking about when we're talking about the layers of self? Well, basically, we all live through 3 different types of self throughout our lifetime. Now, the most important one by a country mile is your true authentic self, so your core self, who you are at your core. Now, the best way to look at that, and the way I'd like you to consider looking at that, is that you are this shining bright diamond of a person. You are unique, you sparkle, you shine wherever you go, and you impact the lives of others. You have that potential, you were born with it. So, and on that subject, we're all born as this bright shining diamond, right? So we're all born as this diamond, and we've got this luster, this sparkle, and we are born with infinite potential to be joyous, to be happy, to give love and to receive love. And we've all born with this unlimited potential, okay, inside us already. The trouble is that when we're very young, when we're babies and toddlers, we're reliant on other people and outside sources to help us to grow. And that's not always the case that they help us the right way. Most of the time, we are taught, and the school system is really good at doing this, in any country around the world, or most countries around the world at least, very good at doing this, and that is to get us to conform. So essentially, we are brought up in a world, in a society where it is normal to go to school, to learn the system, to learn what the system says we need to learn in order to be effective drones, for want of a better word, in society, and to do our thing and to help the economy work and to help businesses work and to help the world work. And it's almost as if we're worker ants or worker bees, right? And we're born that way. We're not born that way. We're born as this bright, shining diamond, but we are raised to be part of this system. Now, not that I'm, an anarchist, and not that I'm against, capitalism or anything like that. Although, I believe everything is great with limits. But that's not what this video is about. But just think about your bright, shining diamond, your core self, your true identity, your true self, as having all of this infinite potential. And then over the years, as you grow, you are just smothered. That shining, bright diamond can no longer be seen, because over the years, as you grow, as you're raised in society, in the world, and taught certain things about you and who you are and what you're meant to be doing, and what you should be doing in order to become an upright citizen, that's just a layer of bullshit. That's a layer of horseshit, if you wanted to use that term instead, that's smothering your diamond. It's covering up your luster and shine. And we all go through this. We all go through this. It's very, very rare that a child will have that awakening, that awareness of who they really are, because they're raised into a system, into a society that wants them to be a certain way, which is other than what they were meant to be. So you've got this layer of horseshit, and that layer of horseshit is not just how society wants you to be, but it also becomes psychological in part because it's who you are afraid other people and the world around you see you as being. So it's if you're obsessed with the fact that you're worried that people are going to see you as a bad person or a bad mother or as a bad father or a bad son, bad daughter, whatever it might be, then this all knits together and forms this layer of horseshit that covers the diamond that is your true self. And it gets thicker over the years. It gets thicker and thicker over the years. But because we have this fear that people are going to see us this way, we don't want people to see us as this programmed bad person, evil son, evil daughter, evil mother, evil father, whatever it might be. We just have this fear that people see us a certain way. And it can be relatively, to some of you, it might seem insignificant things, but to other people, it's the whole world, according to them, right? Because that's the important part. It's the fact that we're all unique. We're all individuals. So what matters most to you may not matter at all to somebody else. So, and vice versa. So that's important to remember as well. But back to today and back to this example, this video, we're talking about the layer of horseshit that's covering your diamond, your true self. And that layer is, as I say, made up of all of your fears, all of your paranoia, if you want to use that term, if it gets that far, about how you are afraid the world sees you and how you are afraid other people think of you. Okay, so what we do then, and this comes to the third layer of self, is that we create this veneer. We get out the nail varnish or we get out the pretty paint and we just paint this very thin, fragile layer over top of the horseshit, which is how we would like the world to see us. So if we're afraid that the world sees us as a bad son, we will get out the nail varnish and we'll paint the best goddamn picture of the perfect son we can. And it's very thin and it's very fragile, but it is a layer of self. And it's the outer layer. It's the most fragile of those layers, though. And in some cases, you might refer to it as the ego layer. So if you have an ego that says, "Oh, I want to be seen as a great dad," then you will go about your life creating this veneer of great fatherhood, even though even though you're afraid that people see you as a terrible father. And you're afraid that people see you as an evil human being, right? Now, your behaviors and your actions may well reinforce that belief, but the point is that you create this third layer of self that, it paints the picture, if you like, really good description of a wonderful dad, of a wonderful person. And it's interesting to me that so many people fall into this category, and using that example, narcissists are great to use as an example here, because a narcissist forgets all about their core self and the person that they were born to be, which is this, wonderful natural human being, gift to the world, right? But the layer of bullshit and horseshit has gotten so thick and so entrenched that it even presses down on the diamond, practically crushing it. So narcissists will typically not ever go back to being able to even find their true self, their true identity. So the narcissist will be living from one of two layers. They will actually become this layer of horseshit. So they will become this twisted, manipulative, evil human being, for want of a better description. And I don't believe anyone is truly evil, but I've got experience with some narcissists over the years more recently, especially. And I've got to say that, they're real dicks, basically. But that's not why I'm here. I'm not here to criticize anybody, but it's just saying that the narcissist is a really good example of how this works, because they've got this entrenched belief that, their behavior makes them come across as a certain way. And they are, rightly so, afraid and paranoid that people see them that way, when in order to get what they want from people, they need them to believe something else. So they paint this picture, they varnish this layer, they varnish the bullshit, to create this persona of a wonderful dad or a great human being or a great friend, when in fact they're not any of those things. But back to normal people, back to non-narcissist normal people, for us it works slightly differently, because we've still got that core diamond in the center there. We've still got our true self. Buried as it is, it's still there. And there are glimmers of it from time to time. Okay, so there are glimmers of it from time to time that allow us to get in touch with it. So it basically puts a flag up and says, I'm still here, help me. And that's what we're here today to do, essentially, is now that I've explained how the 3 layers work, so you've got your core self, the diamond, the shining bright diamond in the center that is your true self, your authentic self, then over the years, society, growth, and education has generally created this bullshit layer, this horseshit layer, where you are afraid people see you a certain way, as a conformist, as a right-wing, left-wing, whatever it might be. I'm not here to do politics. I don't do politics. I never have really. But you're afraid that people see you a certain way. So what we do then is that we varnish over the bullshit, the horseshit, and we create this persona, this ego layer of who we want the world to see us as and how we want the world to see us as. So the trouble is that the ego layer is very difficult to sustain. It's so difficult to sustain, it's nearly impossible. And what happens is that very, very quickly, cracks start to appear. And then we get even more worried that people are going to see through the ego layer and see through our pretense to who we really are. So we get so caught up in this cycle of being afraid that people are going to see the bullshit and varnishing over it like mad, when what we really could concentrate our efforts on is accepting the bullshit. Is just stripping away that ego layer completely and accepting that, okay, some people may see me this way. Some people may not like me. That's just part of life. Some people are going to love you, some people are going to not like you at all. And it's something that so many people have an issue with. And it's so easy to just get caught up in it, which is where the ego layer comes in. So again, there's so many people who are busy between going through the cycle of, oh no, shit, they're going to see me this way. They're going to see this, blah, blah, blah. They're going to see that I'm a fake, blah, 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 blah. So paint. And they keep varnishing over all the bullshit until the layers just increase and increase and increase. But they're still fragile layers. The ego is still such a fragile layer on top of it all that inevitably it's going to fade, it's going to crack, it's going to fall away, and people are going to see through it. But what about really just forgetting all of that, forgetting the bullshit, forgetting the varnish, the nail varnish, the persona, the ego, and actually recognizing and understanding that you are you. You are uniquely you. You are this diamond, this really beautiful, bright, shining, shimmering diamond. And really get in touch with that person, that true you. And there are so many ways you can do this, but the best way that I've found by a long way is just sitting with it. Now, I know that doesn't sound like a really sexy personal development technique, but it's really not, and it doesn't have to be. And again, I touched on people within the industry making things complicated. It's not complicated. It's really simple. You just get in touch with what makes you you, right? Forget what the world made you. Forget what the education system made you. Forget about how you were raised or where you were raised. It's nothing to do with it. That all builds up the bullshit layer, the horseshit layer. So when you start to get in touch with your true self, none of that matters. None of that matters. And it's from your true self that you can really begin the process of creating life by design. So I'm going to show you my best method then, if you want to call it that, of getting back in touch with your true self. So digging down, so digging away, chipping away the nail varnish, chipping away the ego, shoveling all the shit off and uncovering the diamond and polishing that bastard right up. Because you are this bright, shining diamond and you deserve to glow. The world deserves to see you for you, not who you're afraid it sees and who you want it to see, but for who you are. Now, as I say, there's a really easy way that I use to get in touch with yourself, your true self. And that is questions. Just ask the right questions and you will uncover the right answers, which will lead you to being able to chip away the ego, to shovel away all the crap, and to get in touch with your true self once more and shine that diamond up. And some of the questions that I use are very simple. It's a case of, right, who would I be if it really didn't matter? Right. Who would I want to be if it really didn't matter? Right. Now, want to be sounds like a really strange thing to say given what we've talked about, but it's a good starting place. Because when you can identify, if you're really confused about this and you're really struggling to answer the questions like, who am I really? Which is another great question. Who am I at my core? Another great question. If you're really struggling with those, then you can start with a question which sounds as if it comes from pure, squarely from the ego layer, which is who would I want to be? But it's a really good place to start because you can follow that up. So you can ask yourself, if you're struggling with the others, you can ask yourself, who would I want to be? And then when you get the answer to that, you can ask follow-up questions such as, right, okay, what stops me from being that now? Or what aspects of that person am I already? What am I in my core? What am I in my baser nature that is already part of that person, right? It sounds as if it's really convoluted and confusing, but it's really not, because questions are the easiest way to achieve anything, right? Because it's like, the whole concept of goal setting, which we'll get on in the next video, is based on 3 factors, okay? Just 3 factors. Knowing where you want to go, knowing where you are, and how you're going to get there. Okay, so, and it's like a sat nav in that case, in as much as once you can know where you want to go, but if you don't know where you are, the best GPS in the world is not going to be able to plot a route because it needs somewhere to start from. So that's for another video, as I say, but the concept is true of discovering our true self, is the fact that you can know who you want to be, but unless you know who you are now, the chances of actually becoming better or living your full potential are going to be lowered greatly, right? Because you have to know who you are at your core in order to achieve anything. That's my understanding. That's my opinion anyway. And I know that other coaches will disagree with that, but that's fine. I mean, you're more than welcome. And there's so much information out there that you'll probably get different variations of this from a dozen or more coaches. But my opinion and my understanding and interpretation of it is that you need to know who you really are before you can even strive to change anything about yourself. Because if you are trying to make changes from your ego self, the changes aren't going to hold, number one, and they're not going to matter, number two, because they're not based on truth. They're based on a lie anyway. They're based on a fallacy of a person that you want the world to see. So it's really important that that's put across, because when you know who you really are, you can make the right changes. You can take the right path to get to where you want to go from your true self. So, like I say, questions are the easiest way that I've found to really get in touch with who you are. And a really old school question is, who am I when the lights go out? So when nobody's watching, who am I? When nobody's watching, what do I love to do? Right? What would I do if money and power and fame and everything else was irrelevant? Which, to be fair, it pretty much is. Yes, we need money to pay bills. We need some money to put a roof over our head and food on our table. But other than that, your value is not in your ability to make money. Your value is in your ability to help others. That's always been my understanding of it. However you do that, and yes, making money is part of that because it's an after effect. Okay, so you do something of value in the world, people are going to pay you for it. Okay, that's just the way that the system works. That's the way it all works. And to really get in touch with who you are at your core, it's time to get through all of the ego stuff, all of the bullshit layer stuff, and then start to polish up that diamond. But the first step is uncovering it. So, like I say, you can start that process by asking questions. And another really effective thing to do is, quite simply, get out a shovel and ask other questions about, okay, so why do I want people to see me this way? Ego layer. So the second you ask that question, what is it you're afraid of that makes you want people to see you this specific way? You not only start to strip away the ego layer and the veneer, the varnish, but you also start to dig down through the bullshit. Because the chances are, as I touched on earlier, that the ego layer is constructed based on what you fear. So it's based on the bullshit layer. So the bullshit layer might have you afraid the world sees you this way. So you create a persona, an ego layer that counteracts that and contradicts that. So when you ask that question, why do I want people to see me this way? The answer is going to be because I don't want them to see me this way, or because I'm afraid they see me this way. And that opens up the bullshit layer then for you to just dig away at that and say, well, why am I afraid people see me this way? What makes me afraid that people are going to see me this way? What makes me worried about how people see me at all? What is it about me that makes me worried people are going to expose me, get through the ego layer, in other words, and see this part of me, this version of me? So when you start to really chip away at the varnish, at the nail varnish, at the ego, you can also dig down at the same time through the bullshit layer. And you can start to strip away all of the paranoia, all of the fears, all of the limiting negative beliefs that you might have about yourself in the context of how the world sees you or how you are afraid the world sees you. And as you do that, you'll start to dig deeper. So when you ask wonderful questions like, okay, so why am I afraid the world sees me this way? What is it about me that makes me afraid that the world sees me this way? Or what is it about me that makes me concerned that people are going to see me as a fraud, right? You ask those questions and you start to dig away. Now, I will say this at this point, is the fact that you may not get this first time around. So you may not start to experience this straight away. Some people may, and I did straight away. A lot of people I've worked with have too, pretty much first time of asking. But it could take a few tries at these questions, but you will get there. You will get there because it's just the nature of us and who we are, that we ask questions, we discover new things about ourselves all the time. And this is no exception, because in order to get back in touch with your core authentic self, you have to rediscover it. And the best way to discover anything is to ask questions, is to question everything, and then to act upon those answers. So basically, you strip away the ego by asking questions. Why do I want people to see me this way? Which strips away that layer, or at least starts a process of cracking and breaking away that layer, which allows you to dig down then into the horseshit layer of, okay, so why am I afraid the world sees me this way? What is it about me that makes me worried? Or what is it about me that makes me think I'm not worthy enough? What is it about me that makes me think I'm too soft? What is it about me that makes me worried? What is it about me that makes me worried people think I'm too soft or too easygoing? Or what is it about me that makes me worried that I'm not good enough? Okay? So you can see the pattern start to emerge that questions really are the simplest way to do this. And you ask the right questions. And like I say, the questions that I've proposed are just that. They're my proposals. They're my ideas for questions that work for me and work for other people, but they may not work for you. So you will come up with your own set, given practice and time. So just stick with it, just bear with it and keep going with it, and just keep coming up with your own questions and asking them on a regular basis. And you will find that you will start a process of stripping away the ego layer, digging through the bullshit and uncovering that diamond so that you can reconnect, so that you can rediscover that. Because when you rediscover your true, authentic self, it is the best feeling in the world. Okay, it's so empowering to step into this diamond layer and think, actually, none of that matters. I'm me. I'm just doing me. Okay, so really good questions when you start to dig down through the horseshit to really get in touch with the diamond are questions like, what are my key values? What do I believe about myself at my core, in my heart of hearts? What do I value most in the world? What do I want most in the world? Who am I when the lights go out and nobody's watching? Okay, what do I love about my life? What do I love about how I approach life? What do I, when I think about my infinite potential, what excites me about life? What excites me about my future and the opportunities that are out there all around me, if only I stop and take the time to look. Okay, so hopefully this has gone some way to explaining that concept of the 3 layers of self. It can be quite convoluted at first, but you watch this video over again, you'll start to understand different things and you'll start to hear different things. So that's it for today. I will produce another video as soon as I can, and I'll see you again soon.